right, people, you guys are watching and or listening to another Nomadic Cole YouTube video. This is a live stream, actually, for your guys' entertainment. Be sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment, share, and, of course, subscribe. We'll be in the chat with Erick Fox in just a second. I believe this is his first time on the YouTube channel, so I hope you guys will give him a warm welcome. Let's give this guy a warm welcome. Let's get inside the chat real quick after I screen share it over.
Hello.
Hello? Yeah. All right. Yeah. We are live, so introduce yourself, man. Welcome to the show.
Hello. This is Erick. A very, very, very caffeine-less Fox at the moment.
Alrighty. So yeah, we've got Erick Fox. This is his first time on the YouTube channel. First time guest here, so it'll be fun. We're going to talk a little bit about some current affairs. I know we've been talking back and forth a lot via Instagram messages and via Discord messages, but yeah, I think this is my first time actually being on a call with you. So nice to have you on the show, man. It's good to have you here.
Good to be here. And yes, current events right now is a very interesting time.
Interesting to say the least. If you ask me, I think it's a little bit of a shit show.
Yes, but I'm not trying to insult anyone's current happy moment.
I think the honeymoon period has ended for this administration. So, like most of
for me, it ended the last administration. I'm just so surprised it was allowed to continue.
Fair enough. Yeah, the honeymoon period is it's over. It's just so cooked at this point. Yeah, it's been crazy.
It's like watching. I don't know. It's like watching your parents divorce, get married to somebody else, divorce again, and then remarry the same person last time.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I think one of the first things I want to talk about. Well, first, let's just say this: happy, belated 4th of July. I didn't do a 4th of July post, but happy 4th of July to all of you guys. I know I usually do a 4th of July video every year. I've got like 3 of them up on the channel or something like that. But go back and watch one of those ones. For now, this will kind of count as the 4th of July video, even though it's on July 5th. So yeah, happy 4th of July to everyone watching at home, and happy 4th of July to you, Erick Fox.
Thank you. Happy 4th of July. Hope you at least enjoyed yourself with, I don't know. What do people, traditionally, what do you do 4th of July?
Well, for this year's 4th of July, I just grilled up some hot dogs on an old wood grill, used some wood chips and some charcoal, got some hot dogs cooking, grilled them up, went over to my neighbor's house, had a beer with them, talked stories for about half an hour, and then went home. And then after that, I had like one of these Chinese fireworks, and I just blew that up, and I was done. I was ready to go sleep after.
Fun. That's actually more interesting.
What'd you do?
Sadly work, and had to go to Walmart for groceries.
You better have at least got that time and half from working.
I will see this paycheck coming up.
Interesting, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I do that. Hotels usually do that. I know if you work fast food, you don't.
Yeah, it's really depends on place to place. But if I was working, I think my company would have allowed it that I would have gotten time and half. I haven't checked the little thing that has all our holidays, but I'm pretty sure 4th of July was one of the days that we get time and half. So, but I'm glad I wasn't
day
off. I'll go for it.
Oh, yeah, hopefully. I'm pretty sure we do.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm surprised that every company isn't forced to do time and a half on America's birthday, but that's just me.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. Like some companies will like give you like time and a half on like Columbus Day, but they won't give you time and a half on like 4th of July for some reason. Like it's weird.
Yeah. And speaking of 4th of July, that monstrosity passed, which is,
Oh, the
yeah.
omnibus. Oh God. Yeah, that thing was awful. That thing is just that bill, the one big beautiful bill, guys, is it's not big. Well, it is big, but it's definitely not beautiful. Um, that thing is awful. I mean, they just packed so much horse crap inside that bill. Um, man, I mean, $880
I
million
mean,
cut to Medicaid to pay for a bunch
the
of
happiest
cuts to
people
billionaires.
benefiting from that bill are the billionaires, obviously. So they're happy today.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of them are somewhat happy about it. I'm definitely not happy about it, and I mean, I can name one billionaire who's not, and we'll talk about him later. But yeah,
Yes, fun.
this bill is just it's just awful. I've talked about it before on the channel, and it's it's like the worst piece of legislation that you could ever imagine. It's a nightmare piece of legislation. Again, it's going to cut 17 million people off of their Medicaid in a year and a half, and it's going to raise the debt by $4.5 trillion is now the number is that they're estimating, and that's I think a conservative estimate. If you ask the Democrat Party, they're saying it's like $5 trillion, and then ask like the Republican Party, they're saying it's like no, it's more like 3.8 or 3.3 trillion. But I'm going with the $4.5 trillion that Rand Paul said that it was running up, so I'll go with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
A lot of money being spent on issues and things that aren't really important. And a lot of people are, like you said, are losing their health care, Medicaid. Uh, FEMA's being gutted again. That's
again,
fun.
NASA is also losing their funding again. Let's look at what else is losing their funding. The Office of Veterans Affairs, small business grants, agriculture grants and loans. What else is there on this list?
Anything that's not important to his administration is probably being gutted. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, but they're going to build an alligator Alcatraz in Florida, apparently.
They already built it in 7
Oh, they
days.
built it in. Damn, it took them 7 days to build that thing. Yeah, and that thing is fucking.
And it already flooded. It's just they're basically just using the amount of money to pay off either staff and themselves. There is no way that thing costs as much as they say it costs.
Yeah, they built that alligator Alcatraz, and it's basically. I mean, I wouldn't say it.
Tarp.
I wouldn't say it's a concentration camp, but it basically is kind of like one, in a way.
I mean, when people are saying they can't wait to see people become alligator trout trying to escape.
Yeah, and they're selling merchandise off this thing too. I'm just like, how the fuck does this solve the humanitarian crisis at the border? You know, fentanyl, all that stuff. Like, how is the alligator Alcatraz and more ICE agents gonna stop that? And you know, I wouldn't mind it if they were deporting these, these criminal gangs like MS-13, but instead they're going after old ladies and farmers and children in daycare for some reason. Oh, and guys going to their court dates and just
Mainly because they have a quota to fit. They're being told to deport this amount of people per day, and the only logical way to do it is to go after everybody else.
Handcup Official is in the comment section. He says, right when I decided to play GTA 5, you decided to stream. I can't switch tabs without leaving the game. Rip, Handcup.
Oof.
Thanks for your comments, Handcup.
Well,
Yeah, go for it.
oh wow, that is a fascinating.
Huh?
The chat thingy that I didn't know that was a thing. That is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this whole Alcatraz thing is just it just doesn't fix the problem at all. It doesn't fix it. Oh, GTA 4, he said.
It doesn't fix the problem, and that basically creates a global type of conundrum because how do you justify our position in the world when we ourselves are kind of doing something shady as fuck?
Yeah, and it's not just that. It's not just that as well, but like it's also the military budget has gone up to $1 trillion, and and this is under the Biden administration that we've been spending more than double the amount of the top 10 countries in the world on military combined, as if the Pentagon needs more funding. You see, a lot of the guys that I supported in their candidacy, I supported them because they were against the military-industrial complex. Donald Trump promised his constituents, he promised the people of America that he was going to go ahead and actually go out there and, he actually had made a bold promise that he might cut 8% of the Pentagon budget. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen anytime soon.
No, it probably won't. Honestly, that's why I stopped voting Democrat for main elections, because of the same bullshit. Too many empty promises, not enough spying going around, empty promises that usually end up going backwards.
Yeah, and now it's the same thing, with the Republican Party. If you guys don't know, it's the Uni Party, actually, at this point. They're both funded by the same corporate oligarchs at the top. They both collect the same, you can go down the list, line for line, of who funded Kamala's campaign and who funded Donald Trump campaign, and you will see multiple times on that list the same exact companies throwing millions of dollars at the campaigns. So,
Perfect example I can say is we are debating between Burger King and
McDonald's.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What was that other fast food called?
Burger King and McDonald's.
Yes, and people seem to forget that they get their meat from probably the exact same place. They get the exact same things, and we're just fighting over which one tastes a little better.
Yeah, it's really sad, honestly, and it's like, it doesn't really give a lot of people a lot of hope for the future when you realize that
because I think the last time we had a third party try to gain momentum, it was like in the 90s, and both parties came together to flatten it and destroy that entire momentum.
Yeah, I think you're referring to Ross Perot. Yeah, he was in the he was in the 19. He ran for election a couple times in the 90s, and one of those times he got around 19% of the vote. Like, he actually was doing pretty good for himself, and he was self-funded, and he actually even made it onto the debate stage and had a pretty good debate performance. Yeah, I'm definitely a Ross Perot guy. The Reform Party still exists in Florida, and yeah, it's just very sad that they basically destroyed his campaign
by both Clinton and Bush. No, Senior.
Yeah, Bush. Yeah, Bush Senior.
Yeah, you can't disrupt the status quo without being able to deal with the amount of money funding the status quo.
Yeah, the Democrats, all they do right now is just is they harp on the status quo.
Cry about what Trump is doing and promise that they're going to do better, but when they get the ball, they fumble it, cry up hard, and then they do nothing.
Yeah, all they really have is the status quo. Like that was what Kamala was doing, and I think the one of the reasons that Donald Trump won. I heard a great quote by one of the podcasters I watch. His name's Larry Sharp. He runs as a libertarian in New York. Larry Sharp says, "Here, the way people often win elections is you'll have someone with no plan run against someone with a bad plan. So Donald Trump had a bad plan, and he beat Kamala Harris, who had no plan. Because Kamala Harris literally said nothing other than she was going to just continue the status quo that Joe Biden had. And Donald Trump basically had a plan. It's Project 2025, and he told the constituents basically whatever they wanted to hear, and won that way.
He tapped into people's dissatisfaction with the status quo, with the current shit going around, our constant involvement in the Middle East, our overspending, the fact that people are really dissatisfied with struggling from their day to day, shitty healthcare, everything. And he got that vote because he promised something better.
Yep,
and it's the same promise that Obama made in 2008.
Yeah, with the whole change campaign.
Yep. The problem is, in either or, is either they don't have the balls to do what's needed, or they never really had those plans to begin with and just said whatever they need to say to win the election. Come midterms, if they're doing poor enough, they're going to lose the House/Senate or just one. And then nothing gets passed for the next couple of years, and we swap back to the other side.
Yeah.
Just for the repeat. And we are stuck as a country in this constant rinse and repeat for how many decades now?
Pretty much it's been the same rinse and repeat since they killed JFK.
Yeah, seems about right.
Yeah, and
occasionally you'll get a happy little progress just to keep the masses happy.
Yeah, like
but it's nothing
legalizing gay marriage or something like that.
Yep, but it's nothing that's gonna really keep the entire masses well fed and happy. Minimum wage for federally is still what, $7 something?
$7.25.
But when asked why politicians don't get a lot of money, well, it's because it takes a lot of money for them to want to go into office.
Yeah.
Why do they allow them to gamble with the stock exchange? Well, it's because we want them to actually want to run for office.
And the problem with that is they can turn being a politician into a lifelong career, like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Adam Schiff, they've turned their...
And the portal guy.
Who, the portal guy?
The war turtle. War turtle.
Mitch McConnell.
Oh, yeah, that dude.
Yep, him. I completely forgot him. I said all Democrats, but I forgot about Mitch McConnell. And Lindsey Graham, too, the other war hog. Yeah. Those guys...
Yeah.
Those guys have turned their entire careers into being politicians, and they use the stock exchange to insider trade and make a fuck ton of money, millions and millions of dollars for themselves. And
it's also how they cement their position in their party. They cement the same rules, the same policies. And it's why it's extremely hard for anybody to make change in that party. It's because they have so much power, so much influence.
Yeah, they just have...
I believe it's like what happened in the 2016 primaries when people wanted Bernie, and the Democratic Party came out and just simply said, voters do not vote for our candidates, or we do.
Yeah, it is really
There's another reason why people are really dissatisfied with that party. It's because of the lack of voter or base influence. How do we trust a party that isn't going out for its constituents' best interest?
yep. These parties they don't keep their promises. I mean, the Republicans ran on fiscal conservatism this last election. They said we're going to cut the spending down. We're going to use Doge, and what did they do? They raised the debt
I mean, if you think it's,
$4.5 trillion.
I mean, if you want to see something funny, I believe CNN posted how many times Donald Trump said he wasn't going to cut Medicaid.
Yeah, he said that several times during the campaign that he's not going to cut Medicaid. They're not going to touch. It was just Trump either. I mean, Josh Hawley and Chip Roy and a bunch of other Republicans said we're not going to cut Medicaid. Your Medicaid's going to be fine. What are you talking about? They laughed at Joe Biden when he suggested that the Republicans had cutting Medicaid on the agenda. They said he was a liar. And what happened? Now they're cutting it. They are taking a sledgehammer to that program and just destroying it, essentially.
The thing that worries me is the fact that people are still not going to understand what's going on, and the fact that it's still not being talked about a lot by certain states is what worries me.
Yeah, what makes
It's
me
like that.
really sad about it, what makes me really sad about it is that with a lot of voters, is that they seem to have short-term memory loss in the sense that they're going to forget about this bill by the time midterms come around.
And then they're going to blame the other side.
Yeah, they'll blame the Democrats.
And then say, well,
Once the Democrats take I believe they're going to take the Senate.
Yep.
The Democrats will take the Senate.
And no matter how many times you try to play them,
that's how it is.
Yep.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
Because a lot of people are going to suffer and a lot of people are going to die because they do need these healthcare moments, these healthcare plans, these medications, doctor visits to keep them functioning, alive.
Yep. And
that's what irritates me. That's what saddens me. It's just the fact that people don't understand that.
Yeah.
Or they do and they don't care enough because it doesn't affect them.
Yeah, I mean, just look what Mitch McConnell said. He said they'll get over it. Or that other chick from Iowa, the Republican from Iowa, that lady, said, well, we're all going to die anyways. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck kind of person does that?
The more wealthy elite. But I'm not talking about them. I know they're cruel and horrible for the sake of being cruel and horrible. I'm talking about the voters who still agree with these bills because, nobody they know has Medicaid. No one they know relies on these programs. I don't understand what it's going to take for them to realize this is not a good thing.
Yeah, it's going to...
Because FEMA's been gutted, and I live in a state that constantly catches on fire.
Yeah, and what's crazier too is with the FEMA is that I believe Trump actually ran on saying that we need more FEMA, like late in the campaign after that. I think it was the fires in California and the hurricane that hit the two hurricanes actually that hit Florida and North Carolina. Trump actually started saying, "Oh,
yeah, right.
More FEMA. We need more funding to FEMA," and now he's cutting FEMA.
And then wasn't it the North Carolina governor who asked Trump for aid with FEMA and got rejected?
Yeah, I believe so. Because they got hit really bad.
What's going to happen? Sorry.
Nope. Go
yeah, like what's going to happen this hurricane season when these states start to experience these horrible rising problems. What's going to happen during tornado season? What's going to happen to other states that desperately need it? They can't afford to fix these problems.
You know, most of these Republican states are going to be absolutely fucked too because their state governments. You know, if the plan for the Republican Party is to kick down the funding to their state governments, it's going to be red states that suffer the most because those states actually don't produce enough GDP to fund their own state programs. So,
Oh, sorry. Apparently, I can't go off this thing to look at news things. That's horrible.
uh
Oh well.
oh well. I mean, I can just keep it going. But yeah, these red states are actually going to suffer the worst, ironically. And
They are, and that's the biggest thing that irritates me. It's just the lack of concern, the lack of, or the constant ignorant bliss that keeps going on. Is well, we lost our FEMA, our state is on fire, but we're still gonna basically blame everyone else for whatever's going on, and not the person who did it.
yeah, I mean, I do have a feeling that, and my prediction is that in 2026, Democrats are going to win the Senate, and Republicans are going to try to pass the blame on the Democrats for all the crises that they've caused. And a lot of Republicans, I think, are going to get enchanted. I'm already disenfranchised with the Republican Party at this point, but I think a lot more Republicans are going to get disenfranchised with the party. And here's what they're going to do. I mean, we already are seeing what's going on with AOC and Bernie Sanders. I think they're going to run a socialist in 2028. And I wouldn't be surprised if the socialist wins.
Well, if they're gonna run a party together, they need to understand that they need to change their name. Americans are too scared of socialism or the name itself, even if a lot of our policies have some social programs and social backings. It's all being cut though, but
Well, all they really have to do is call themselves the Social Democratic Party or something like that, and it's fixed.
yes,
Every other, every other
something that
European
doesn't
nation
scare
is
the average.
democracy, so you might as well just call yourself the Social Democratic Party.
Yep, because they need enough support, enough candidates that aren't bought out. I myself vote way too left leaning because I don't like either party as far as I can tell.
Yeah,
I haven't voted for a president in the elections.
I really don't like either party either, and I vote for third parties personally. Um, so we'll see. I hear there's supposed to be a new third party being created. Actually, the
I
one
mean,
billionaire
Elon Musk is
who's against this bill right
not
now.
the person I would ever back.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm happy that he's dissatisfied and he's realizing, wow, this is a really bad bill, and I'm glad that he's speaking out. But I still don't forgive everything that he helped create, essentially.
my thing with Elon is I don't really trust him to do anything outside of science or technology or funding. I would not want him to be in any sort of position where he has any political power, but I'd be okay with him, doing something with like NASA or something because his rocket ships are clearly impressive. Even though it's not him doing it, he's the guy just giving the funding to scientists to do it. But if he's gonna give funding to a party, he wants to create this America party. I feel like that sounds a little bit too campy, and he'd be better off just throwing onto the pile that the Libertarian Party already has because they're already the third largest political party in America. He might as well just give his funding to the Libertarian Party and try to actually get them to run a serious campaign.
Yeah, that could honestly work better. But from my experiences, you gotta watch out for whatever candidates you vote for because they're not always looking out for your best interest. And they might seem like they are. They might sound extremely polite and get everyone's hopes up, but they don't.
Yeah, I think if I'm voting in the next election, I'll probably vote Libertarian Party, unless something else like the Forward Party or this America Party works. Then I'll vote for that. But yeah, most likely I'll be voting Libertarian.
Yeah, I'm still probably not going to be voting for a president again. Both sides are generally just awful, and with our constant media essentially being bought out by either party to continue this constant what do you call it? This constant, just basically keeping the masses on this narrative that one side bad, other side good,
Divide and
and anything
conquer
else
is
is
the word
irrelevant.
I'm looking for. It's called divide and conquer. It's a cycle of divide and
Yes, that,
conquer.
because it's hard for anyone to trust a media outlet that doesn't actually criticize its own party. It's even harder to trust anything that just basically will be non-stop praising the party.
Yeah, that's
Why
actually
I
why I
avoid.
use. That's why to figure this type of stuff out, I tend to use sites like allsides.org or Ground News because those actually help me in deciphering what's true and what's not.
Yep, because
I,
again,
I don't
finding
trust Fox
your
News. Um, you know, most of my family members, bless their hearts, but they're evangelical Christians and they just watch Fox News mostly and count that as their daily news intake. And then other people that I know, especially in my state, I live in a deep blue state, and a lot of them just regurgitate whatever CNN, MSNBC, or the local paper throws at them, which is all left leaning. So and it's not even that far left. It's not like you who is anarchist, but left leaning is in generic Democrat Party talking points. You know,
yeah,
and they get shit
because I
all the time too.
yeah, I know. I've like I said, I've seen enough people basically believe both these sites and just praise it as gospel.
Yeah,
It's hard to know what's going on when it's always filtered to a certain degree.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's really difficult, but luckily we do have like Ground News and stuff to actually help you figure it out. And one of these things that Ground News actually posted recently, which was a blind spot for the right, by the way, but it was heavily covered by the center and left, and that was the fact that with this one big beautiful bill that we've been talking about, um, it actually is going to let Palantir spy on all of us and deregulates AI for about 10 years. Something which I don't think I did cover in my video that I made on the subject. Um,
Oh yeah, government surveillance and uh unchecked AI. Unchecked AI is the new stuff, but government surveillance that's been around for since the Bush administration.
well, yeah, I think you're referring to the Patriot Act and what this is going
I
to
mean,
allow.
wiretap. I mean, these two wiretap phones that they believed they were like quote unquote terrorists.
Oh, yeah, that's
Checking
McCarthy.
your
That's McCarthyism. That's
yep,
even before the Bush administration. That goes all the way back.
yep.
Shit, that goes back to like Lyndon B. Johnson.
I mean, I mean, they're asking people applying for visas to make their all their profiles public just in case they want to criticize America.
Yeah,
Because you can't. I mean, because we don't apparently our government's so so sensitive that we need a safe space.
Yeah, but
And this
what's
is the party
worse?
that this
What's
is the
worse
party
is
that
this
tried.
Palantir stuff. What's worse about Palantir is that it's an AI platform that is going to weaponize the Patriot Act. Is basically going to go on top of the Patriot Act, weaponize it. And they're going to spy on all of your private data, medical records. They're basically going to give us a social credit, like China, is the plan.
Yep, probably. And with more power basically being given to the Orange Man, it could lead to a lot of issues down the road for people who are viewed as problem Americans. But we're not there yet. We'll probably cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, we'll probably be there by midterms. I think we'll be at that point by around the midterms.
It depends if Donnie gets his citizenship revoked, then we are gonna be there a lot closer, I believe. But if not, then we're fine.
Yeah, if he can, because I know he's trying to get rid of end birthright citizenship. Which, if you know me, I'm a big Constitution guy. I believe in corpus and birthright citizenship, and yeah, this is just all sorts of fucked.
Well, see, what both sides don't realize yet is by the Supreme Court essentially allowing his executive orders to go unchallenged and to be a state thing, he has unwittingly, unknowingly allowed any future president to essentially do whatever they want for a while until the lawsuits start piling up.
Yeah, this it allows pretty much any president to do what they want. That's the problem that the see. I think that's a big problem the Republican Party has, is that they're looking at this as, oh, look, my guy Donald Trump, he's gonna do whatever he wants. You can't tell him what to do, and so that means
And
that the
next
next president,
administration,
if the next president's a fucking socialist, guess what? That socialist president's gonna do whatever they want to do. So
yeah, and then
have fun with that,
and
Biden.
then instead of having a judge strike it down, no, they have to go to court. They have to basically sue the sue the executive order and then go for the process. And then every state has to do that now. And again, it's like when Biden wanted to essentially suspend or erase all student loans. Federal judge struck that down and saying that's not constitutional. Well, if this entire new Supreme Court decision had been done back then, could you imagine the outcry, the anger?
Yeah, I could imagine. I could imagine it. Yeah, it's just it's pretty just funny to just know that these guys are like, they don't understand that the more power you give to government, it doesn't matter if your guys
The more kind of backfire.
it's going to backfire. If your guy's in now and you give them a bunch of power, that power is going to be used against you in the next change of leadership. So
Exactly. That's why checks and balances is so important because it means that the president is not a king who basically can do whatever they want. It means that we have two other branches that are there to check and balance to keep them from going on a rampage.
yeah, and you know what the
I
real No
mean,
King's Day
I mean,
is? Was yesterday was the real No King's Day. Founding
yep.
fathers put those checks
I
and
mean, like
balances in for a reason.
exactly. It's like do people really want Biden senile ass going on a rampage and passing whatever bill he wanted?
No.
Exactly. But because of what they're doing now, if you elect somebody like Biden who has
No moral
who
compass.
was not a really good fit to be president and have whatever executive order he passes go into essentially law, we are screwed as a nation and we can't do anything about it. Trump being allowed to do whatever he wants is a problem for the future that Republicans don't seem to understand and probably won't understand even as it's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just realizing that a lot of the Republicans that I see are they're just uneducated. Basically, they don't really know the issue very well. They don't know, they're pretty much told whatever by Fox News. They're told to support this guy, and they don't have that long term thinking, is what I'm trying to say.
Yep, the problem with the Democrats is they want that type of fan base and voter base, but you've when you've been fed shit for 3 administrations, you grow up and you realize, no, we want someone better.
Yeah.
And that's why the Democrats keep losing, because they refuse to change. They refuse to put people who are more qualified with taking office.
Yeah, I think another reason the Democrats keep losing is because for the last 8 years, their platform has just been Orange Man bad. Anything Orange Man does equals bad. Anything slightly related to Orange Man, automatically bad. And that is part of the divide and conquer strategy, because that puts people into camps. It creates tribalism. So if your entire campaign is one person is an evil guy and he must be stopped at all costs, then you're going to get a lot of people. Everybody on the left is saying Donald Trump is a fascist now. Everybody's saying that. I'm not saying I completely disagree with them at this point, but I would say Trump is an oligarch, in my opinion. But yeah, you know what it is. It's tribalism.
Yeah, it is. Basically, the Democrats need a better direction, and they need to clean house if they want to go back to their quote unquote golden age.
Yeah. I mean,
No more.
I'm looking at what they're trying to do now, and it seems like they're finally listening to their constituents and trying to get more progressive and going towards these socialist policies. We'll see how the Zorhan Mamdani experience works out. This whole experiment with him. We'll see how.
Well, a lot is riding on him because he needs to basically prove and do what he's promised to do, or else this movement, this my view essentially in politics, crumbles, and it's not a good thing if he fails.
Yeah. The problem is, I think, is that New York City is basically fucked. They've been dealing with decades and upon decades of bad neoliberal policies that have created one of the highest. I mean, they have very high rent, extremely high rent. They've been dealing with that for years. They have
Yep.
inflation up the wazoo. They have a crumbling job market outside of white collar jobs. They have, I mean, pretty much they have a struggling transportation system. They used to have one of the best transportation systems in the world, and now the infrastructure around that public transportation system is basically crumbling at this point. They have, I believe it's like the third highest homelessness rate in the U.S. Like, this is not an easy city to fix. And being a
It isn't.
libertarian,
That's why.
I would argue that these policies, I don't know if they will work. So if he fails at his job, everyone's just going to point fingers at him and laugh at him, basically.
No, everyone will basically say, this is why this is why socialism does not work.
Yes.
It's a lot of writing on him, and I really hope he knows what he's doing, because if not, then we're going to be stuck with more decades of the same bullshit.
The same
And
neoliberal policies from these politicians that keep getting elected every single time.
yep.
And yeah,
So yeah, we will.
we do have to get away with it. I mean, I'm not completely against Zoran. Like, I disagree with his policy platform, but I know Larry Sharp I know him. He knows Zorhan personally, and he says he thinks Zorhan's a true believer, and he really wants to get this stuff done. And he's actually given him some advice. He's told Zoran to actually run on these economically left policies, and so far it's turned out to be pretty popular, telling people to, you can get free shit. So we'll see how it works.
Yep.
I'm
Because yeah, like I said, I see a lot riding on
pulling
him.
for him. I'd say that. I'm pulling for him. I'm not going to fund his campaign or anything, but I'll give him the thumbs up. Let's see if it can work.
Yep. Because if it does, it proves that the same decades-long policies, status quo, and members shouldn't be allowed to be in office anymore. They should move and either that or retire. Because
Yeah.
we need, if he does well and his policies do well, we have a chance to essentially elect more people who can do better and actually care about the people, not just the donors who are trying to get a quick buck.
Yeah. It's, again, one of the biggest problems the Democrat Party had is that they neglected the working class. So right now these progressive politics and the economic left wing policy ideas are ringing pretty popular with a lot of people in the working class who want to see their welfare benefits and all that, and their social security and their unions and their pensions. So um, maybe this could be a turning point for the Democrat Party. We'll see.
We'll see. Hopefully it is, because I don't want to vote for either party at the moment. Democrats are spineless and just represent the same old status quo that has been going on since the Obama administration, even beforehand. And Republicans are. I do not vote Republican for obvious reasons.
Even if the Democrats do manage to elect AOC to office, I don't know, she might have Bernie Sanders as her running mate. I feel like it might still end up going back to that same old neoliberal bullshit back over again, anyways. Like,
It will. It's because there's not enough influence and power for them to do any actual change.
Yeah.
Unless they basically win the primary for the unless they win the they win they become the candidate.
Yeah.
Then they're given more power and more say, which means they can remove certain people from their positions and elect more progressive leaning candidates or people.
Yeah. I just feel like even if AOC
Again,
became president, I think it's like I think it'll still end up going back to the neoliberal policies. I think they'll pass a large spending bill again that will raise the debt.
yep.
But the difference is it won't be as much to the military and to billionaire tax cuts. Instead, it'll be towards like a child tax credit and a bunch of welfare benefits and all that stuff. And they'll cover up they'll stop talking about whatever Israel's doing, and they'll cover that up. And yeah.
Yeah, there is a problem with both parties, and you can't make change without having enough power behind you. And at a certain point, you do have to ask yourself whether still if both parties can be salvaged, or if it's time to basically just leave them behind.
I mean, that's basically where I'm at right now. I'm saying like I'm done with both these parties. I just saw what Donald Trump did with this Iranian Israeli missile crisis is what I call it. I call it the Israeli Iranian missile crisis because that's basically what it was. We were literally for 12
Yep.
days straight thinking World War III is going to break out any day now, and we're going to get drafted. And it's still a possibility. I mean, this entire ceasefire, it was violated within the first couple of days by both sides, and then Donald Trump has to drop the F-bomb, and supposedly the ceasefire is still doing well, but I think it's shaky, especially when you're ordering a ceasefire off of a tweet, basically, and you have to go to Qatar to work out this peace deal. But what I saw Donald Trump did, and what's even crazier is there's a huge flip flop because just 2 weeks prior, Trump had gone in front of the United Nations or EU, I forget which one it was, but went in front of one of these globalist, talk boxes and said, "Oh, we need to stop with the neocons." And what did he do? Well, the first opportunity he gets, when he's given the opportunity to listen to his director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who said in front of Congress, "Hey, they're not building nuclear weapons in Iran." He listens
He called her a liar.
Netanyahu. Yeah, he called her a liar. He listens to Bibi Netanyahu and the neocons, Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell, and he says, "Let's go bomb Iran." They got WMDs, and he lies about WMDs to the entire world.
I mean, how do you call the person who's in charge of that cabinet a liar on national television?
How do you
Thus,
call,
basically,
what's worse to me is, how do you call a non-interventionist lieutenant colonel in the United States Army with a storied career and who's pretty smart at a lot of this stuff, you just completely brushed him off and called him a liar? The only way you can do that is if you're influenced by the neocons and the Israeli Political Action Committee.
no, but even worse is the long-term damage this is going to cause, because, like, how do you basically respect somebody after that when your president is like saying, "Oh, they're a liar. They don't know what they're saying." Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
And I read recently that Tulsi Gabbard now is basically being silenced and is kind of losing her status and her high level position. So she's going to kind of sink into the background. I've essentially called this: Donald Trump is locking her into the cabinet, just like she's done with RFK. Donald Trump has locked RFK in the cabinet. He's only allowed to talk about food guys and like vaccine mandates from 4 years ago.
Yep. Well, this is basically what he does. If you looked at his first administration, anyone who disagreed with him, who wasn't kissing ass, they would be fired and replaced shortly thereafter. He doesn't have the best track record of keeping loyal people on his side.
Yeah, hell, he fired.
And the moment that anything screws up,
He fired.
they're the ones to blame, never him.
He fired his best friend Steve Bannon from his cabinet. Steve Bannon's not working for him, and Steve Bannon's a hardline right winger who was like Trump's best friend during his first administration. Gave him a shit ton of funding.
Yep.
Hell, supported
how anyone can trust the man after this, I don't know.
I can't trust him. I can't trust him. I think he's bought out by the American Israeli Political Action Committee and the neocons, and I think he's just a neocon oligarch who's trying to screw us over, just like the last few guys.
The only problem is he has the charisma to essentially get people to still believe the lie. There'll be people out there who are still basically believing it.
That good. He just talks in a very arrogant way. He holds himself highly. He has a lot of money, and he talks in an arrogant way and gets people to buy his bullshit. He's a very good salesman, but he's really a terrible speaker. I mean, you listen to the guy, compare him to Obama or even Reagan and Bush. I mean, those guys are so much more charismatic than Donald Trump.
They are, but he tapped into something that people are still going to be following him for. He tapped into a lot of people's anger.
Yeah, he did. He did. And the thing he was running against was a Kamala Harris who was uncharismatic, unpopular, and quite frankly had zero plan or policy at all. Like, she just ran a campaign off of vibes and joy and celebrity endorsements.
Yep.
Doesn't get the job done.
If
Her
she would have,
campaign was dedicated to basically appeasing coastal elitists rather than talking to the average working class. I know she tried to do a little working class crap with the Tim Walz vice president pick, but we all saw straight through that guy's fake hunter facade. His little
yep.
he didn't kill a single turkey on that turkey trot hunt.
No, she needed to have hired somebody way younger, way more charismatic. Someone who, honestly, someone who was a little more, far more left leaning. She would have had a better chance
She
relying on their
honestly
charisma.
should have gone with like Josh Shapiro. I think would have been a lot smarter because Josh Shapiro appeals to a lot of those Midwest nice union folks, basically.
Yeah, but she didn't. She went with the old guy, the
Yeah,
typical old guy running mate,
yeah,
and it cost her the election, and it cost the Democratic Party another win, which is, I mean, they deserve that, honestly,
yeah.
but it's just horrible. This is the outcome of their inadequacy.
Yeah, and with Trump's vice president, a lot of people, including myself, was hoping that he would choose Vivek Ramaswamy, but instead he just decided to choose this deadbeat JD Vance, and the reason he chose him is because JD Vance will just kiss his ass and repeat whatever he says.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the issue with Donald Trump, is he can't handle not being surrounded by yes men. He has to have someone kissing his ass at all times, saying, "Yes, President Trump, of course, President Trump," and anybody who disagrees with him gets shut out, replaced, or called a liar on national TV.
Yeah, I think the only reason that he took RFK into his campaign was ultimately because RFK's third party campaign was going to screw over Donald Trump in the election.
Yep.
Taking roughly 15% of the vote, if not more, easily. So, like, we had a really strong campaign for him. So I think Donald Trump was very scared of that, and basically he said, "Look, you're going to screw over my campaign. The Democrats are screwing you over, and I'll let you take care of this niche issue of food dyes and vaccine mandates, and and if you do that, then you just let me do the rest. You can't talk about oil. That's why I can't criticize Lee Zeldin at the EPA, despite the EPA being under his watch. Basically, he can't do anything about unbanning asbestos. Yeah, he really can't do anything about that. So it's
No,
very
he can't, because it's already
tough for
basically making him money.
Bobby. Yeah, I feel very sad for Bobby because he can't take on these oil companies. He can't criticize the big beautiful bill for taking away public lands, which is something that RFK has been very supportive of over his career. He's not.
I mean, he could, but it would cost him his position.
Yeah, it would. I think if he said anything about it, he'd get fired. Because I don't think Trump actually trusts RFK that much. I think Trump still sees RFK as like a liberal, basically.
Mhm. That's the, again, and something that horrifies me is we're only in month 6 out of a 4-year administration.
Yeah, there's a lot yet to come. A lot that's going to come, and it's going to be tough, guys. You know what I've basically been telling myself though, that's been kind of making me feel better. I said, look, our generation, we are. If you study history, we are the weak men who have to live through hard times, and in order to live through these hard times, we're going to have to become better men. We're going to have to become strong men to create good times. So that's basically what we're going to be living through. We're living through hard times.
Yep. However, change or actual change within the parties will not be easy. Removing these people from power will not be easy. And all I can say is, from watching Bernie Sanders' first run in 2016, he fought tooth and claw,
Yeah.
and eventually it was his own party that basically took him down twice now. But
And what's
that's what
Bernie
happens
is
when
he
you
ended
try
up,
to change the party from within.
what's worse with Bernie is he ended up backing out after they screwed him over. Ended up backing out and kissing their ass.
Pretty much because I believe they threatened to end his career.
I mean, they probably would if he didn't endorse their guys.
Yep.
I would. But yeah, most of the Bernie Bros that I know think that he's a sellout at this point.
Yeah, he had to compromise his ideals, and I'm so saddened by that.
It's very sad. I mean, like I respect Bernie Sanders. I think he's a smart guy. I'm actually happy he's trying to reach across the aisle with RFK recently to
Yep.
basically ban the pharmaceutical advertisements on TV. It's a small little token, but I'm like glad that they're doing this and working together on this issue. I really want them to get on a podcast and talk this whole health issue out because I think they'd find they'd have a lot more in common than meets the eye. Actually,
Honestly, it's gonna be a bleak future before it gets any better, and like I said, it takes a lot for things to change,
yeah,
especially with current times. And again, I work with people who aren't from here legally, and honestly, from what they're saying is most of them want to go back to their country but can't
yeah. It's
because again, when you invest so much time, so much money, you essentially are giving all that up to go just be homeless and in a country you haven't been in for decades.
yeah. It's really tough, man. It's tough for a lot of these people, and it's like the regular working folks are getting screwed over, and the rich guys are taking over. It's a tale as old as time, really. Um, and yeah, we've said it before. I said it again. I share your sentiment with these two parties screwing us over, and yeah, like I really hope we get a third party at some point. I mean, I hear Tulsi's going to run
And
2028 under the Republicans, but I think they're going to pull a Bernie Sanders on her too. Like that is my prediction at this point. She'll run. She'll have a
if she
strong campaign.
criticizes them,
Probably come second, and they'll
yep,
pull Bernie Sanders on her. They'll use super PACs to screw her over.
yep, because if she starts criticizing them like she did with the Democrats, they will fuck her over and they will essentially quote unquote ruin her career for a bit.
Yeah, and like her career
You
is.
can,
I mean, she's just kind of bounced. She went from like Democrat to independent to going over to the Republicans, and now she's got this cabinet position, nice cozy cabinet position, and now she really can't do a
she
lot.
can,
She really can't.
no. I mean, she could, but only if she has a backup plan. Honestly, I wish people like these people would gather together and just do something, but it's hard to want to be that candidate when you have so much at stake.
Yeah, and then
And I understand.
you've also got this whole cabinet is basically bought out by Peter Thiel and Palantir and the AI companies, Jeff Bezos, um, Mark Zuckerberg, all those guys. I mean, really have put a lot of funding into this campaign for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump. When you run an election, you got to pay back the people who funded you. So that's what he's basically doing with this big beautiful bill. He's paying them back with a fat tax cut for them.
Yep.
So
And that's the problem with relying on uh, other people's money like that. You have to pay them back. You have to appease them. You can't do certain things without losing their money.
no, I was today years old when I found out that Peter Thiel and Palantir is actually an offspring of the Bilderberg group, actually. The fucking Bilderbergs. The Bilderbergs, the
Ugh.
Rothschilds, the fucking Trilateral Commission, these these big billionaire businessmen who gather in Europe all the time and pass global legislation, which you never get to vote on, and they use divide and conquer strategies to control your worldview. It's insane. It goes all the way up to the top.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you want actual change, you have to remove their influence. You have to remove billionaire influence. You have to remove donor influences. You gotta essentially clean house, and that's why I that's why the future is so bleak, because it's not impossible, but it is highly unlikely that we get a democracy with parties that isn't influenced by any of these rich billionaires with their own agendas.
Yeah.
And it's even more unlikely that we get an actual country that it has even more middle ground news programs.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm gonna tell you from firsthand experience. I ran with the third party political campaign for Kennedy, and you'll be surprised how many hardline Democrats in my state just straight up told us like we were trying to sell them on RFK, and straight up told us, no, he's gonna be a spoiler. He's gonna get Donald Trump elected. So this is the kind of mind
They said that,
that these people are getting into with this tribalistic ideals from divide and conquer.
no, trust me, they said the same thing about Bernie in 2016. They still blame people who voted for Bernie, saying, well, he's the reason why Trump got elected in the first place. Like, no. The reason why Trump won was because Hillary had the worst policies, had the shittier ideas for president. She lost because she was a bad candidate. Don't blame Bernie, blame her.
Hillary's the thing with her candidacy is that she was so bad because all she really did was run on a few culture war policies, abortion. I don't think it was trans rights yet, but definitely LGBT rights. Um, and like,
Well, yeah, LGBT rights became a hot issue after, again, a lot of teen suicides in the 2010s.
yeah, so it was
Because
like
at that point,
LGBT rights and abortion was like what Hillary was mainly running on. She really didn't have any solid foreign policy. She really didn't have anything like about
it was
addressing the
status quo.
border, like nothing about that. And she was cringy, campy, came off as fake, and
Remember,
a dark history.
Pokemon go to the polls.
Yeah, Pokemon go to the motherfucking polls. And don't forget that she's just one of the most corrupt politicians. So she had the whole Benghazi scandal and the BlackBerry iPhone emails as well against her.
Oh, yeah. She was a horrible candidate. And the fact that they basically kept pushing her because, again, she was the ideal Democrat in their eyes is why they lost.
Yeah.
The reason why Biden got elected was because Trump's first term was so polarizing that they wanted somebody else. And now we're back to Trump because Biden's first term was so horrible. And it's a pattern that keeps repeating. And instead of blaming each other and saying, yeah, it's our fault, we keep voting for the same thing, no, it's always the other side's fault. They're the problem.
Yeah, it's always.
We have a lot more in common than we have differences when it comes to basic needs and wants, and people don't realize that.
Yeah, I'm really surprised.
Because
I'm really surprised that you, an anarchist, and me, a libertarian, are basically reaching across two opposite sides of the political spectrum and going down the line on all these subjects and just being like, "Hey, we agree on all this shit."
well, yeah, my entire thing is I believe people should have dignity, respect, and a chance to live. I don't agree with any of Trump's immigration policies as of yet, because he promised to only go after the criminals, the bad apples, as he called them, and a 5-year-old is not a bad apple. But again, being told and being repeated, well, they came here illegally.
You know,
That's
if they were really concerned about the criminals, you'd hear a lot more stories in the news about shootouts between ICE and cartels and MS-13 members instead of ICE
yep,
members showing up to court or ICE members showing up to daycare or ICE members showing up to food pantries and Home Depots to take away illegal immigrants and throw them in alligator Alcatraz.
exactly. Because people will criticize Obama for his massive deportations, but for the most part, he just deported criminals and everyone who was in a jail cell.
Yeah,
He went after.
with the Obama
Yeah.
deportations, I will use this Obama deportations talking point that the Republicans like to use. Oh, but you guys were so mad about how Obama deported. Obama deported 3 million people. Donald Trump hasn't deported 3 million people. When were you guys mad about Obama? I will use this as a talking point against the conservatives, actually. The thing about the Obama deportations, he deported 3 million illegal immigrants. It didn't change a damn thing about the border crisis. So obviously, the amount of deportations isn't the issue here.
Nope, it isn't, because people still come here. And here's the thing: fact-wise, about a larger amount of people come here through expired visas than they do for crossing
Yeah.
the border.
No,
People overstay their
a
visas.
lot of it is that it's just too, like, I've looked at the requirements. It's just too unaffordable and too difficult to go through the whole process. The process needs to be streamlined. My border policy, if you ask me personally, is I believe an Ellis Island style border where we're going to accept legal immigrants, have them go through a medical and background check like anyone else, and have them processed, get their green card. We should lower the prices on that. We should get more asylum judges, and to stop illegal immigration, to stop the cartels from peddling fentanyl in, because we know for a fact they are doing that, to stop the whole human trafficking situation at the border. We just need to put up a fence and a bunch of drones and some security cameras, and that'll probably take care of it. We have enough ICE agents as is.
Yeah, the problem with them is they're just getting anyone really to become an ICE agent.
Yeah, they're not even paying these guys that much. I'm looking at how much they're paying these ICE agents, and they're getting like your average Home Depot employee wage, basically.
Like, if they really honestly cared about it, they would have made their own police force, an actual police force, or a military branch, created a new military branch to essentially go to the border and actually fight.
Oh, guess what? We
And
have a military branch.
go after.
We have two military branches that can do that. We have the National Guard and we have the Coast Guard, which both take care of those operations. So, like, it's not like we even need a new military branch. We just need a fence
Nope.
all the way through. We need surveillance cameras and drones and use the staff that we already have on hand. We need remain in Mexico, and we need asylum judges to process the cases that are already in the country, like the expired visas, as you pointed out earlier. And again, we need to streamline these requirements, make it a bit easier for people to get a green card. Instead of it being $1,000, it should maybe be like $150 or $200.
Well, that, and yeah, like I said, right now, especially with what's going on, immigrants who used to pay taxes using ETINs or fake social security numbers aren't paying taxes anymore.
No, why would they pay taxes in a country that like hates them and doesn't provide them any services? Is like my question. Like, if you're an illegal immigrant, you're basically hiding from the law. You're not getting any really government
No, I know.
services.
But think about this:
Emergency.
if they make a paycheck, they pay taxes and they contribute to the
Yeah. Oh, the
to the system.
right. You're right.
Money they will never see. Money they will never see. Money they will never use.
Mhm.
That's going into the system.
Yeah, because the corporations got to pay the taxes on their wages. That makes sense.
So and some of them still do pay their own taxes at the end of the year
Yeah.
when things are cooler. They pay their own, like they go to their taxings. Sometimes they'll pay more. Sometimes they'll pay less. But it happens. It's because again, some people use fake socials. Some people have their eatins,
Yeah.
and that's again money that they will never see. That's still going into the system. That's a lot of money that's gonna basically be gone when these people go.
Yeah. But I think you know what the largest problem with taxation is, just across the board, is that we pay so much. We pay about 40% of our incomes on taxes, and that's including property tax and death tax, estate tax. It's including retail tax. Like you get taxed on basically just about everything you do. You can't you can't walk 10 minutes down the street. You know they'll harass Granny for sending $600 to you via Venmo, but if you if you're a billionaire, you get loopholes. So the problem is,
Yep.
one, we have all these loopholes for billionaires that they can just claim zero on their on their filing their taxes. They can just file and claim zero and mark everything down as a business
Yeah,
expense.
basic.
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, even Trump basically said in his 2016 during his debate thing that he used the same loopholes provided by the system, and and basically that made him smart. And if we close that loophole, we basically will essentially not only piss off a lot of billionaires, but also get them to pay their fair share in taxes.
Yeah. Well, I think what Donald Trump was actually pointing out was that Hillary Clinton was being a hypocrite because she and him used the same tax loophole. Was what he was.
Oh yeah, no, definitely,
Yeah, she
yeah, definitely tax
used
them
the
all.
same tax loophole to to basically avoid paying taxes and commit tax evasion. Yeah, these guys should be paying their taxes. I think we should close those loopholes. And the other thing that we need to do is stop using those taxes on silly, wasteful things, specifically wars overseas and subsidizing pharmaceutical products. I think is one of the
Honestly,
thing.
a good way to fix that issue is to basically tell you exactly what our taxes are going to.
Mm-hmm.
Every single thing, every single cent. See
You know,
whose
this
state
was
taxes
actually
go to
something
what.
that, and that's something that I think Doge was actually planning on doing. Was they were going to do a report that, oh, this is all the stuff that your taxes are being used for. But of course, we never got that.
No, because he got quote unquote fired, and now Doge is basically being used to investigate him. I believe.
Yeah, I think Doge is now. Well, what Donald Trump wants to do is deport Elon Musk because now Elon Musk, now that his government contract of 180 days has expired, Elon Musk is now a free agent, and he has a lot of disagreements. I think it mostly stems from Donald Trump cutting his electric vehicle subsidies, but hey, I'll take it.
Well, like I said, we'll see how this happens because if if essentially you could lose your if an immigrant can lose their citizenship because of a disagreement with a politician, it does create a bit of a conundrum for our democracy
Yeah,
because that means our First Amendment is no longer viable,
yeah, it's a scary thing to think.
and it also means that anybody could be targeted for any reason because if you're doing this openly, what can you do secretly?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of a lot of bullshit, if you ask me. It's just
Yep.
It's great. They're really trying to turn this country
Yeah.
into an authoritarian hellhole. They've been doing it for years, and I'm glad
See,
people
but
are starting to wake
the
up.
problem is they're trying to do it, but again, Republicans don't think far ahead, and that's the issue I'm having because should we get a shitty Democrat in office next time who has that same mentality, then it's going to cause a lot more fucking issues with more goddamn wars in the Middle East and more issues again.
Yeah, I think if we want to prevent wars in the Middle East, the biggest thing was the legislation that Representative Thomas Massey actually was putting forth. Is that we're going to have a bill. We should have a bill go through that is going to say that the only person that can declare war is Congress. Just ensure that only Congress can send us to war, and most likely we will not have to go to wars in the Middle East anymore. And a lot of these wars is just caused because of the military-industrial complex. They fund just about every politician, Democrat, Republican. They really don't care.
Mm. Nope. As long as we're in war, as long as they're making money, that's all they care about. And again, it's one of the big things that have to be removed for us to have a better democracy.
Yeah,
You have to remove money from politics, and that is a death sentence in any sense of the word. It's the death to your career, essentially,
yeah. I mean, if you're a
because
politician,
you're going to piss
and
off a lot of billionaire donors.
yeah, if you're a politician and you run and you're against money in politics, you're like with Bernie Sanders against the Citizens United decision. Yeah, these politicians will flock to basically defunding your platform and funding your primary opponent.
Yep. So yeah, it's an issue that has to be taken care of, but again, it's a lot harder to do it given just how much influence and power they have.
Yeah,
You can try and you can scream, but you're going to be essentially dragging everything, kicking and screaming, trying to get them to fix their bullshit before you essentially, you essentially get them to remove money from politics.
yeah. It's really really hard
Um,
for for anybody that's grassroots to win. I mean, again, from experience with the third party campaign, one of the biggest reasons that we had to drop out in the first place was because the Democratic Party actually spent $1 billion funding a super PAC to intentionally sabotage the RFK campaign. So,
yeah. Again,
like,
I
there was attack ads, smear campaigns, dirt sheet media articles, actually putting people on the inside of the campaign and getting them to essentially mess shit up inside of the campaign. There was lawsuits in states for ballot access. It was a whole debacle, and that was just the Democrat.
yeah, that's why you gotta. So, so you were saying?
And that was just the Democrats. The Republicans just didn't want us on the debate stage.
No, again, it's because if you present a threat to their candidacy and their elections, they will sabotage you every step of the way.
Yeah,
And it comes down to how much integrity do you want to have by the end of the race, and how much you're willing to compromise on. And that's an issue that most candidates are going to have to face. And you can stay with your ideals and essentially drop out or lose. and then try again next year or next election, or you can be bought out and compromise your ideals and essentially sell your soul for a little bit of a spotlight.
which is basically what RFK ended up doing. He ended up saying, "Well, I'm going to have to compromise majority of the issues that I'm running on to get a cabinet spot working on this one niche issue of food dyes and vaccine mandates."
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It really is hard to make change, to create a to run for office with policies that actually better everyone's lives when you're going against the establishment.
Yeah, true. And I mean, I do get why he dropped out. I mean, he didn't want to be another Ralph Nader, you know? If you know who Ralph Nader is, he ran in 2000, 2004, basically created the Green Party, and, ended up giving Bush the election in 2004.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I get it. But it is hard because you will have to hope that they don't keep compromising, or else you end up with a candidate you just have to ask what happened.
Yeah. Very tough. Tough stuff.
It is.
Yeah.
It is because like the more your candidate, like the more you see candidates fall or compromise, the more heartbreaking it is because you realize that it's possible. It's not a possibility for change to happen yet, or for a very long while. And you see the horrors happening around the world, the injustices, and you just can't help but wonder why.
I mean,
If it's not that hard for people to be kind or a little smarter than they should be, but here we are.
I tell you what,
Yes.
I do my best to try to stay positive and try to help out where I can. At this point, I'm basically making a commitment that every 4 years I'm gonna help out a third party campaign that I'm interested in. I'm not voting for either of these parties anymore. I try to give to the homeless when I can. I do some work with the in like environmentalism and stuff on the side as well. So I mean, I really do try. It's not like it's not for fault of trying. It's just there's just too much money in the
No, like I said,
you pointed out. There's just too
no, like I said, yeah,
Citizens United. There's
you can only do so much with you only do so much. But I'm talking about like just politicians in general, just the world in general. Like you expect so much better from people, and you see just how cold some of them are,
yeah. I've been
and
again
you can't help but wonder just yeah.
like I saw with Mitch McConnell saying when he cut Medicaid saying, "Oh, they'll get over it." And that other girl, I forget her name, but she said that
Who laughed and smiled. No, that was the
we're all
different one
gonna
when told like
die.
people are gonna die here, and then
Yeah.
yeah,
Like that's just
it's infuriating. And
it makes you almost want to wonder like some people really do deserve to get slapped in the face, honestly. Those are the kinds of people who
yeah,
deserve it.
yeah, you got yeah, I know. I like I said, I want to be hopeful for a better future, a kinder future, but every time in every election, I get proven wrong, and I get proved. I basically just I can see the worst in people,
Yeah.
and the more I try to say it's not, it's just a few of them, the more I see just how cold everyone is and how selfish they are because they don't care because quote unquote it doesn't affect us until it does, and then all of a sudden everyone's angry and blah blah blah.
Yeah. And it's just really really sucky that it's got to be that it seems it's going to be that way for a while, and it seems like it's just going to get a whole lot worse. Honestly, it seems scary now.
It will.
It's
No, it will. I've seen these type of things before. Again, to that a '90s kid, when those kids killed themselves in droves in the early 2010s, comments basically went like this: "That kid deserves it. At least he's not shaming his family anymore. That F word is better than no F word."
oh man,
And these are grown adults talking about teenagers or kids who basically kill themselves because the world's so cruel to them.
yeah, that
And I hoped that we had come a long way from there, but every scenario in my head points to us going back there.
it's
And I don't
dark. It's dark.
know how, but it is gonna get like that soon. Because if people think they're gonna stop with just immigrants, they're not. The like the hardcore ones who have been voting and saying essentially the far right has an agenda at hand, and
Well, they for sure
people
want to
like
get rid
us
of. They for sure want to get rid of the trans. I think. Like I think they want the trans people
they do,
to just be disappeared, basically.
and
Instead
no,
of
they do.
actually
And here's
addressing
the
the
thing: I've
issue.
seen. Sorry, you go first.
Well, I mean, if you wanted to actually address the issue, like I understand where the right comes from with the sports thing. Like I've seen enough to know, hey, there's a reason why a lot of these people just aren't suited for competitive sports. That's one issue, but the just having like a lot of people have gone so far to the right that they can't handle the fact that these trans people, they're not just like, not all of them are just fakers. Like they do exist, they're real, and they're real people with real feelings, and there's actually solutions that we could do instead of just demonizing them all as like child molesters, basically.
Well,
Instead,
here's the thing.
yeah, go
Sorry.
for it. No, go for it. You probably know more on this topic than I
Here's
do,
the
so
thing.
go for it.
No, but here's the thing. The same thing that's basically being said about trans people, about grooming child molesters, about them basically only being who they are because of mental illness. That's the exact same thing that was said to gay and lesbian kids back in the day, or adults. You're only like that because you're mentally ill, because your parents fucked up, or because you probably got groomed as a kid. And again, it's the reason why a lot of kids killed themselves back in the 2010s, but in the early 2000s as well. Because when you're told that what you are is a sickness, but that who you are is wrong and evil and vile, you start to believe it. And kids are so self-conscious of who they are already as it is, that the bullying, the harassment, especially from adults, it gets to a point where they feel that the only way to end that suffering, to end that pain, is by suicide. And nothing hurts more than seeing the kids in your community, in your group, kill themselves because they're so ashamed of who they are.
Yeah, yeah,
And seeing that happen again, it's sickening. It's horrible, and I feel so angry, so angry just seeing adults tell kids who just probably deserve, like, who just deserve some therapy, just so, like, even if they're
that's what I'm.
confused and they're not trans,
This is what I'm.
all they deserve is just all they deserve is just
Yeah, they need
have
help.
somebody tell them you're okay.
Yeah.
no matter what, you're okay.
Yeah.
That's all they want to hear. Even if they're not trans, at the end of the day, if it's just a phase for them, if it's just like a hot, all they need to hear is that they're okay. That, that no matter who they are, what happens,
Yeah.
they're loved.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I
I
said,
mean,
yeah,
let's just take for a second. Let's say that the whole thing with the whole trans thing, because they are about roughly 1% of the population, maybe a little bit more than that. Um, Even if they are just mentally ill, because I do subscribe to the ideal that it is like a lot of the transgenderness that we have in society is caused by dysphoria or gender dysmorphia, and it's a real mental illness. It doesn't mean that you're evil just because you're mentally ill. It means you need therapy, you need help, you need to talk to somebody, and you need to, um, basically be okay with accepting who you are. If you're feminine, that's fine. If you're masculine, that's fine. And when you're 18, you should be able to do whatever you want to your body. You have bodily autonomy. You should be able to get surgery if you want to at 18 at a consenting age. That's what I subscribe to.
exactly,
Yeah. Um,
exactly. But
the
yeah,
idea
like
of
I said,
a lot
it's
of the hardline far right, though, that they want these kids to be disappeared and do God knows what
no, because like one of
is
the
awful. It's awful.
because like one of the things people say is, well, they have a high suicide rate. So did gay kids back in the day. So did we. Because again, it's
You wonder why
if you call
they
somebody a
have a high
monster,
suicide rate. It's probably because they're constantly bullied as kids in school for just trying to be.
they're bullied by bullied by kids, and then when they have to hear adults, goddamn adults say, well, these people are monsters, these people are rapists, these people are like, again,
I can guarantee
I tell people
I can
this, kids,
guarantee you there's more Mormon missionaries and Catholic priests who sexually assault kids than transgender people are. I
yeah,
guarantee you that.
but yeah, like I
I'm
said,
not
it's
saying that
kids.
transgender sex offenders don't exist, because they absolutely do exist. I've seen the news reports, but they're far and few between as
No, yeah,
compared to the Catholic priests and Mormon missionaries.
no, yeah, and that's the thing. I tell people, like, kids might not understand certain things. Like, if you tell, like for say gay kids, like, I didn't understand what it was when I was a kid. I guess some people this. I just basically had it is like a really weird want to be with basically some of the boys in my school. I didn't know why. I just thought, oh, I just want to be their friend. Turns out I had crush.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
perfectly fine, and I think
Mm,
you're within your First Amendment rights, or actually not even First Amendment. Um, it's actually Declaration of Independence, the right to pursue happiness. You're within your rights to do so. So yeah, it's fine if you're gay. I'm cool with gay folks.
yeah. So like that, like I said, that's basically kids don't always understand, but they know that there's something different. That there's something.
Yeah,
And as parents are often too scared to address the issue, and they'll often, like I said, they'll just hide it. The issue is, eventually, with everything that's going on, this is going to become a huge problem again, and we're going to see a lot more. I fear we're going to see a lot more self harm, a lot more uh, attacks on people,
yeah.
and yeah,
It's very sad, and again, we're about to go through very tough times history is a cycle. Good men
Yep.
create easy, or yeah, good strong men create easy times. Easy times eventually create weak men, and weak men will have to live through hard times. And in order to live through those hard times, you have to become good, strong men. So I think that's the cycle of history that we are going through. We are the weak men living through the hard times, and we're going to have to be made stronger. Iron will sharpen iron to make these to make things work out in these hard times. Because right now it's reported that around 50,000 people may die a year just from losing their medical benefits alone. Um, you're going to see a lot more people hungry in the streets, a lot more starving homeless people. Um, people will be flocking to the
All I
churches,
can.
to the Christians' delight. I just don't think they'll be flocking to the churches for the reasons they think they're flocking to the churches. They'll be flocking to the churches because they want the free food and coffee there.
Yep. All I can really suggest is start buying extra, like long lasting things to last you during these harder times.
Oh, I'm stocked up on water and gasoline right now, and a bunch of other
No,
stuff.
I'm stockpiling on food because we got four of us in our place.
Ah,
So I need. I've like I said, these past few months I've been seeing all the scenarios in my head, and they all point to the same thing. Uh, it's gonna basically just be a rerun of 2020 COVID with people freaking out and again, you know, mass purchasing.
yeah, I think
Either
food's a
and
good
then
one. If you're gonna stock
yeah,
food, I suggest canned foods that will last is the key.
canned foods, basically like those dry, long lasting things. They're basically anything that'll last a couple of years.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty good. I have a bunch of canned food, so I keep a good stock of canned food on me at all times, and I always have plenty of top ramen because all you have to do is boil some water in the noodles and put the powder in, and
Yep.
you got a meal.
Yeah, I've been buying like packets and packets of those just
Yeah.
because again, I don't know when, but I know it's probably soon where things are just gonna go too expensive, and with like the economy basically just going on a flux, jobs are uncertain.
Yeah. Um, the economy isn't looking too good either because the dollar has actually lost 11% of its value in this year alone. Um, with
You won't see that in
inflation,
any,
as I predicted from this bill, inflation is rising exponentially. Trump promised that we wouldn't have, that he'd cut the inflation, he'd reduce it, and it's still rising. People still can't afford basic things. Egg prices have gone down a little bit, and I think gas prices are down because of the increase in drilling, and that's about it.
yeah, and that's the thing. He'll boast about that, like America's winning, but he'll completely ignore everything else because he can't accept the fact that he did something wrong.
Nah, I just think he doesn't care. He's too arrogant, stuck in his own ways. There was another guy. It was as an economist, a Chinese American economist, who I was listening to earlier, and he basically said that if Donald Trump really wants to bring back the manufacturing power of the United States and start being self reliable, essentially, what we need to do, it's more than just it takes a lot more than cutting taxes on billionaires and tariffs. What we actually need to do is we need to increase our ports capacity so we can send a lot more stuff, export a lot more stuff around the world. We need to increase our power exponentially, about double of what we're creating right now. And in order to do that, we'd probably need to go with nuclear power at this point, but instead of oil, which most of it we're getting
Yep.
overseas anyways. Um, And
A self-reliant USA would be amazing, but the oil companies would never allow it.
yeah, because the oil companies are too focused on their own corporate greed. They want all this oil from the Middle East. That's why they support Netanyahu and these forever war campaigns, because they want to profit off the oil, like they did back when we had established the Shah, overthrowing Iran and establishing
Yep.
a monarch essentially who would just give us oil at a really cheap price. Um, yeah, I mean the oil companies really love that Middle Eastern oil. The thing is, I've done the research when it comes to oil, and for our own power, we can use our own oil. We have enough that if we self relied on our own oil supply in the United States, that we have enough in Texas, the Midwest, and New Mexico that could last us around a decade or so.
The only problem would be, once again, they have way too much. What's the word? Investments over there. That's probably the reason why they won't.
Well, the oil companies are globalists. They believe in global trade, and they want to. They want to keep the forever wars going, fighting this forever war against the Middle East, between the West and the Mid East. So they want to keep that going, so they can continue stealing their oil. It's essentially we're essentially stealing their stuff and shipping it to ourselves to distribute between all the common folks. So yeah, it's not the greatest plan, but I didn't decide it. That was the oil oligarchs who decided that plan.
Yeah, so that's the thing with our current situation. It's, again, like I said, it's real change. The change we want will not happen until we, as a country, as a nation, just essentially dismantle this goddamn system. And the thing is, a lot of people are so accustomed with this way of life that they refuse to do so.
Hmm.
And we are stuck in this system, whether we like it or not, for the reasons, the same reason basically that we have the shitty the shitty two-party system.
Yeah.
And that's, again, because we're so accustomed to this shit.
I mean, did you hear about the plastiline guy?
No, what was that?
The plastiline guy. His name is Julian Brown, and he's basically created a technology that converts plastic waste into usable fuels like gasoline, diesel, oil, and jet fuel. This guy is running
Oh,
an
that.
operation out of his backyard, and he's getting a lot of interest on social media. Um, a lot of people are saying that the oil companies are going to come after him. I don't think he runs
Oh,
a large enough operation yet, but his stuff looks promising. It works.
it does, but essentially what ends up happening is money talks, and if it doesn't, they basically will go after his business in other ways.
Yeah. Well, we know what happened to the guy
You don't.
who made the water-based car, which was essentially just reverse engineered in a steam engine, basically. The guy made the
Yep.
water car. We know what happened to him. He ended up getting a drink after meeting up with some oil executives, and they poisoned him after they took his patent, and then they
Yep.
hid his patent away. So a lot of people are warning him.
Yeah.
A lot of people are warning him not to end up like the water car guy.
Yeah. You don't essentially to challenge the money, the system, you risk a lot, and you run the risk of having a lot of your life ruined.
Yeah, it's it's crazy. Yeah, so so sad that these companies are just trying to reap all the profit, stay on top. I mean, you really can't blame them.
Why?
If you were in their shoes and you're making billions of dollars, I mean, who's to say, most humans are naturally greedy, I think, and who's to say that that the greed wouldn't consume any normal position with that amount of money and
No,
influence?
yeah, anyone would. Like a lot of people would basically do the same thing. It's why we had it's why the early, like the mid US, had all these labor laws and things prohibiting companies from essentially getting too powerful,
Yeah.
which again was, you know, we need that again because companies are getting way too big, way too powerful.
Hmm.
Like the like we talked about this in our chat earlier on. Um, if if you want Americans for American based jobs, especially the ones that aren't appealing, you have to make them appealing for a like for them to want to work there.
Yeah.
But the main problem with companies is you raise the price, like you raise the you raise the minimum wage, you raise how much they work, and they start reducing hours. They start trying to replace workers with computers.
Yeah. And that's what they're trying to do now with this 10-year AI deregulation is replace a lot of workers with computers and AI.
And
Planning on replacing entire
see, like
branches of
nobody.
government with AI as well. So that's very scary.
Yep. So yeah, then that's the thing. It was never about real like immigrants taking people's jobs because AI is going to take your job for the future.
Yeah.
I mean, AI is supposed to take about what 40-50% of the workforce by like 20 to 40.
Hmm. AI is going to take a lot of jobs.
Certain jobs will become obsolete,
But
and
what's really
people aren't
is
worried about that.
what really worries me is the artists are going to lose their jobs. Actually, AI is not
Oh, yeah, that's already happening right now.
um, AI is not being used for the right reasons. I mean, AI was supposed to make our lives easier. It's supposed to do the chores we don't want to do. It's supposed to do the the you know the manufacturing jobs that pay jack shit an hour. It's supposed to replace the job of it's supposed to be the robot that replaces the job of putting the caps on toothpaste, basically. Instead, we've decided to
Yep.
use AI to take the jobs of the artists and the writer and and the jobs of the musician, and it's it,
I mean,
it's
we're
crap.
seeing that now. Remember,
Eventually
Fortnite?
it'll get better because AI is always learning. So it's very scary.
Yep, it is. But that's the thing. Like, it was never about immigrants taking people's jobs. It was just about having a scapegoat while they basically try to cut down on the workforce while keeping the billionaires even happier.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
got what they
what
wanted.
cheaper than a free workforce? You don't have to pay AI anything. You don't have to pay the robots anything.
Nope. And yeah, then and they can tell the AI to do whatever they want, pretty much.
Yep. Like I said, we are gonna see a lot of horrors before this ends, and
Yeah, it's almost
I don't think
Orwellian.
people
It's almost Orwellian.
people are so focused on each other, so angry that they don't realize that the monsters are coming for us all.
Yeah, scary stuff.
They're trying to get everybody, and we're so focused on our differences that we don't realize our jobs are on the line, our life is on the line because again, most jobs are going to become obsolete if this happens.
Yeah, I mean it's
They're already trying to. They're already trying to do self-driving cars.
that'll
What happens next is self-driving Ubers, self-driving buses. You don't need people basically driving the cars anymore.
really you want. Yeah, the problem with the self driving cars is they're getting into a bunch of accidents recently though. So I I did
They are, but that's the
take a
thing.
while.
People. That's the thing. A minor accident or two doesn't really upset the people who want this done.
Hmm. Minor
Money
accident.
talks, and
I wouldn't say minor accidents because I saw a video where it was one of those self driving Teslas, and it's the Uber service in San Francisco. Flew through a red light intersection and hit a fire truck. T-boned it. T-boned a fire truck. Uh, Car was crippled. Luckily, nobody was inside of it. If somebody was, they'd be dead. But yeah, I wouldn't consider that a minor accident.
well, not well, yeah, to us it isn't, but to them, the people who want this, it's just a hiccup.
Uh, Probably, I think
They
most of them see it as a learning opportunity to correct their programming.
exactly because, like I said, we're not going to see things getting better for a while, and this is just it's just a small little sampler of what's to come.
Yeah,
What's gonna and people like I said, people are gonna realize way too soon that AI is coming for their jobs and that it was never about immigrants, it was never about trans people or like the right or the left. It was about the the rich wanting to become richer and fucking everybody over just because they wanted to have less workers.
very very true. I mean, it's a very true sentiment. So I understand where you're coming from on this issue. Yeah, I mean, I really don't have much else to talk about. So I think we'll probably call it good here. But thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, that's
It's
fine.
uh, it's been a good
Um,
conversation, and yeah,
yeah, and sorry for any background noise. I live next to a train, like next to train tracks, and yeah.
the audio hasn't been horrible. So I'm glad you've taken the time to come on here and show up for the stream. Yeah, it's been a good conversation. Good to have you.
No, no problem. Thank you. Thank you.
Alrighty, I'll see you next time.
Goodbye. All right. Bye bye.
Bye. Let me just stop screen sharing here for a sec. Alrighty, that is the end of the stream, guys. So again, hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys liked it. And again, if you haven't already, be sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment, share, and subscribe for more podcast conversations just like this one right here, right now on the Nomadic Cole YouTube channel. Because this shit is for your entertainment. That's right, people. This shit is for your education and entertainment. So thank you guys for coming in and tuning in. I appreciate all of you guys who commented in the sidebar chat. Thanks for coming in, Handcup. And again, shout out to my friend Erick Fox. I don't know if he has a YouTube channel, but he has an Instagram account. Yeah, go ahead and look him up, Erick Fox. Yeah, and that's just about it. Thank you guys for coming in. We'll see you guys on the next one. This is the Nomadic Cole signing off.